All right, welcome everyone. This is a Viper Professional Training and Sport webinar. Today's date is September 30th, 2019. This is a Monday night webinar, and the title of tonight's webinar is How Much Retracement Do I Wait For? And as everyone knows has been to our webinars or our live trading room, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar, other webinars we have, our live trading room, or anything else with Viper Trading Systems, should never be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on the disclaimer? All right, if not, we're going to go ahead and get started. By the way, I went ahead and on the council of several members, went ahead and put some special webinars that were done so they don't just get down the list. Everybody remember that you've got your ebook is the very first one that teaches you about Object Trader. And then these webinars that are in blue, I think are really important to watch. 4 trade setups to memorize. If you just wait for those trade setups to come to you and don't trade unless they do, you'll do well in trading. Identified swings are super important. Those have been on there for a while. But I also put look to the left to trade the right and train your mind to see the trade. And then phantom trades. If you're not familiar with phantom trades when they're called, be sure and watch that video. Okay, so in blue, they're pretty important to watch. I may remove this one. This was actually when we opened the room for Martin Luther King about a year ago. I'll probably just remove it. It was kind of a slow morning and everything, but plus it's a 2-hour webinar. All right, so I'll probably remove that one. All right, let's go ahead and go into some charts. We're going to talk about retrace trades tonight. Bear with me a moment. And let's look at this first. I want you to see the chart without the prices on it real quick first, okay? Now, everybody that's been with us a long time or any amount of time knows that we like to go by what's called identified swings, okay? Identified swings are super important, okay? Because, for instance, if you're in a downtrend and you have a high, a low, a lower high, a lower low, lower high, okay, like that, aren't you trending downward, obviously? So and by the way, this swing was broken, so this is an identified swing right here too. So if you were thinking, of this thing continuing, wouldn't you think that it would probably hit its head right around this line right here? And if it broke this, it's no longer heading down. It doesn't mean it's heading up yet, but it's no longer heading down because it would be breaking and retracing deeper than an identified swing. So always look at that, okay? Especially, for instance, if they break a swing, see here's 55.82 and here's 55.75. That's broken by 7 ticks. I personally like a swing to be broken by at least 5 to 7 ticks, and I think you'd be smart to even do 7 ticks at least on a swing break. See, like this one was broken by a bunch, here at 55.97 all the way down to 55.82 before it even retraced, okay? So that's definitely a good swing break. So you're getting these lightning moves, right? Okay, but for instance, if you were in this trade short from way up here, let's say that you had figured it out and that you had shorted it way up here, wouldn't your stop be right here? Like just a tick or so above that swing right there at 90, 89 or 90? See, because my line's drawn at 89, and usually you like to put it 1 tick above it, or even a couple of ticks above it if you want to protect your coin. You can do that, okay? But what if you weren't in a trade now? Where are we looking for a trade? Anybody? Don't look at your charts. That'd be cheating. Does anybody know where you'd be looking for a trade if we were going to continue down? Because it's pretty much right in front of you. You got 2 areas that this is going to do a trade, okay? If it breaks this, it's breaking what we call micro, okay? You do have a swing right here. See this a priori swing here? This is your lightning 3. So I would draw a line right across here, like so. And I would pretty much just say, okay, if it gets anywhere inside this box at all and rolls over, I would take the trade. Anywhere inside that box and rolls back through 89, I would take that trade. Or if it gets all the way to 94 and rolls, I might take it before it takes out 89. Everybody see why? But you've always got to draw on your charts to see where the next trade is. And identified swings, if I could stress that any more than I always have, identified swings are the most important things you're looking for. Always on the left side of the chart. Okay, because this could have zigzagged. Let's say that on Lightning 1, maybe this did zigzag a little bit. Let's see if it did. No, it really didn't. But, oh, I'm hitting the wrong key. No wonder. Just a second. Let's see if it zigzagged. No, not really. Yeah, see, just barely like that. Now, is that an identified swing, anybody? Is that an identified swing right there? And the answer is what? No. Because look at this swing here. It hasn't broken that by very much. So would you put your stop as tight as this right here? Now you could, you know, if you wanted to protect your coin really well, but you're going to get in and out of trades quite a bit. But to me, the swing is right here at 89. And what most of the time these markets will do is either tag them, miss them by a tick, or take them out by a tick. You see that all the time. So if it missed it by a tick and rolls, you could still take the trade. If it, you know, wicks it and rolls, you could take the trade. If it goes all the way up to this 94 and then rolls, you could take the trade. Everybody see that? Now that we've seen this on the identified swings, let's look and see what mid-band and minimum criteria and all that's telling us, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and get to the actual chart. And here's the actual chart that we were drawing on right here. Okay, so let's draw it again. Let's draw Lightning 2. All right, everybody see that? A low, a high, a lower low. It can't take this out if you're going to continue heading down, but it can take it out if it's going to do more of a medium retracement. And see, your medium retracement to me would be more like possibly right here. You know, see this swing right here, like so. So if I was looking to trade this trade, even right now, I'd be looking for something like this right here. This little sweet spot and a rollover. If it kissed up in here and rolled, I'd take it. If it barely touches this and rolled, I'd take it. Okay, because that would be holding resistance if it did. Okay. Anybody have any questions on that? Because to me, that's really, really critical to know what you're looking at on your chart. You got to. I mean, you know, this is 1 o'clock in the morning. You know, nobody gets up at 1 o'clock in the morning if you want an 8-hour sleep or even 6-hour sleep. But this is, you know, a chart that you might see in the middle of the afternoon. Would you grab it or box it, Chuck? Well, the thing is, I don't mind boxing them as much if they go like up into this area here, like mid-band. But if they just kiss like resistance and roll, I take them pretty quick. Okay. Now, how do you know when it's rolling over before it's too late to enter the trade? Well, basically, what you're looking at, Gene, is you're just looking at it like, what? Just to give an example, let's say that I was looking at this trade right here. Okay. Let's see what it does. I'm just curious. And we'll put Object Trader on it so we can try to trade it. We'll do it on replay, and we got 4. We're not going to do 4, but that's good. All right, so if you were to take this trade here, what you don't want to do is you don't want to box in way up here because your risk reward would be nothing. Okay, let's see what it does, and we'll just see what it does. And I'll click it on about 10 times. Hopefully it won't go too fast. We won't care if we catch the trade. We just got Object Trader on. But let's just see. Now see, that's actually getting an A, a B, or pardon me, A, B, hadn't got a C yet. All right, and if it was to touch this, for instance, right here, or this predictor, now predictor's saying that you're right at 90. See how predictor's calling 90 out right there? Why is it calling 90? Well, it's looking all over this chart, and more than likely it's calling it because that resistance is right here. I'd have to get with the actual programmer on the algorithm to figure out the math on it, but I'm pretty sure that's what it's looking at. So if you were to, for instance, be watching for this trade, it would be hard to do like a region, because what if it goes up a little higher, like maybe up to 94? Well, I'd be looking for this trade more like in this area right here. Just like this, just a little sweet spot right here. And if it was to go above that line and roll over, I would probably just grab it. Now, I wouldn't just grab it here because you don't have any risk reward. You got to at least have 10 ticks. At 90 all the way to 75, even if we get filled on a bar rollover, we're going to get 10 ticks if it goes to the bottom. Okay? Well, let's see if we get something. Now, this may be rolling over now, and if it does, then it's getting a high, a low, a lower high, and it'll even get a lower low, but we'll look for a different trade. You want to just try it for like one contract so we don't go crazy on contracts? It just touched that 90 right there. What if I put a really, really tight stop just in case? And I put exit on close so it just doesn't wick me out. Let's see how predictor picked that spot right there. Now notice I put a really, really, really tight stop on it. So what? We didn't get hurt. Okay. Now, could it still take me out? Absolutely it could. And it cost me 40 bucks plus the close of that bar. It might even be 60 or so. But, you got to diagnose your charts though. And see, when we were looking at this without all the prices on it, we were looking at this chart, weren't we? Right here. And keep in mind that until this actually forms here, more than likely this is not going to show that night. There it is right there. See it? Just hit it. That's actually now lightning because it's already figuring out where the prices are. Just one second. Let me get rid of lightning one so it's not confusing. See how that kissed that swing right there? Now, it's not a trend change, right? But see how it went above my line and then rolled over? Now, that's a minimum criteria trade, but you're trying to go down to at least this 75, and that is a good risk-reward trade. Let's see, Giuseppe, Gary, you said holding resistance. Can you please show us support? Just a second. Support versus resistance lines. Absolutely. Basically, when you're in a short, you're really not looking at support as much as you're looking at these resistance lines. And you got to draw them on your chart or at least see them in your mind. So, this is resistance on this little move down because you had a low, a high, a lower low. So that's an identified swing on the left. That's resistance right there. Okay, so when that rolled over, now let's see, did we get 10 ticks? No, not yet. We haven't gotten stopped out either. Matter of fact, I would probably, if I saw that happening with that lower high, I'd probably add one if the bar closed down. It may take us, we'll see. And by the way, that's going 10 times speed too, so just think what it was like with 1 time speed. You're going to close that bar? We'll find out. If it breaks 87, would you go long? No, I would not. To go long on this chart, does anybody know where you'd be going long on this chart? you'd be going long on this chart if it really took out that 90 area and then came back and kissed it and started actually stair-stepping up. I'm going to take a chance on this, and I'm going to do 2, but I'm going to be real tight on my stop, $120. Don't you always feel like you're going to lose when you see it red for just a moment? You know, we still could. There we go. We're in 3. All right, now as soon as it gets down to here, we could actually take, or even here, this is where I'd probably take my scalp. Right across this area right here. And by the way, you don't have to take it there if you don't want to, if it blows through it. Okay, if it bounces off of it, you might want to take the coin. So you get ready to buy if it doesn't take out that line and it bounces at all. It went through it, so I wouldn't take it off. If it went back through it, I'd take it off, take 2 off. It's going to take them off at the target anyway. Now I would definitely move my stop. Real close to break even. And you probably want to take 2 off by now because see, they just came down to that bottom right there. Okay? And now you're in a free runner. Okay? Now, does everybody see how that trade was diagnosed? Because, you know, granted, it's not up very much yet. It's not that great of a trade, but it's a couple of $100 almost. Okay? Now, if you were trading this and you saw that you missed this trade right here, what would you do? Anybody? Well, let's look at our little chart again. Let's just pretend we didn't even get this trade. You want to see if we can get another one? And let's look at our little chart here. And I'm going to draw lightning 1 even. Let's just draw lightning 1 here because I want to be able to see this real quickly. Let's get rid of lightning 2. And we'll draw, I missed my spot now, didn't I? Let's draw lightning 1. All right. All right, whoops, sorry. All right, now it hasn't done anything since it hit our, basically hit our 90, so we haven't gotten our leg drawn yet. So let's see what happens with this. But I can tell you by looking at it right now even, what it's looking for. Okay, let's see here. If you were to break 75, and it did, see it's breaking 75, look to the left, trade the right, look to the left, trade the right. And look to the left, trade the right, if you want to draw 3 lines. And if it hasn't checked an area yet, on the immediate left is where it's going to check. Okay, there's your immediate left right there is 83. All right, see immediately left, and then you've got another left right here, and another left right here, and then of course this one here. Okay, let's see. We won't even trade it. We're just going to see what it does. See that? See that? See how if you draw on your charts now, could you have traded that trade? Yes or no? Because you drew on your chart, you saw that they were coming up to previous swing. Looking to the left to trade the right. It was either this swing or this swing right here. And look what they tagged. See there? They're constantly checking these little resistance areas. Okay, now let's see, it's broken 65 even. Let's draw on our chart again. And let's see if we can figure out the next trade. All right, let's draw on it. We're going to draw right here. And let's see where it's been so far. So that's not an identified swing. It's way up here, but we're not worried about that. Let's let it play for just a minute. Let's see if we can figure this out. See, it's not identified. And this is your identified swing right here. Rolls over, I'd take that trade right there. Okay, identified here and identified here. This is looking to the left to trade the right. Now this more than likely had a trade here too. I just about bet you. We'd have to find out if it kind of rolled right through here. But if not, you're stair stepping, right? So let's see if it stayed below this. Yeah, see there? See how that works? Just kisses your lines continually. Look at it kiss these areas. Can't take this one out. Lower high. See there? I'm going pretty fast on this right now. But everybody see how you can draw on your charts and see where these retracements are going? Now, keep in mind that we weren't even watching the prices. Okay, but we could draw on our charts anyway. Okay, but then let's look at the actual prices and see if you could tell where these were based on those lines that we just had. Let's look at it. All right, so drawing on your chart. And keep in mind, predictors are going to be really good at, see how that predictor got you in? And yet you drew on your chart, you know, you had a 75 here and you had this swing right here. What did it do? It kissed that one. Okay? You got to always look to the left to trade the right. Because at the time, this had already happened, right? So when they go back, you know, they check the previous swings. And also, predictor's going to figure this out also. You know, for instance, if you saw this happening in real time and you shorted 82, then, you know, or, well, at least close to 82 because you would box it. You know, when it gets close to that mid-band, you probably want to box them, something like that. Okay, when it comes out of line 3, to give an example, you can take those trades. See how this one came out of line 3? Take that trade. You know, this is your little mid-band area for short trades. Anywhere where it just tags mid-band and rolls over. That's your little mid-band areas. The same thing here. Okay? All right. Now, looking at this right here, it's 4:30 in the morning. Where do you think that the trade, more than likely, if it's going to continue heading down, should hit its head? And could we figure it out ahead of time? What does anybody think? Well, let's see here. All right, you have a low, you have a high, you have a much lower low. This is your identified swing right there on the left. It can't go above 41. Mid-band is at 36. You've got a swing right here. Like so. All right. So somewhere in here is going to be your sweet spot if they don't continue heading down. Pardon me, if they don't decide to take this puppy up. But let's see if we can nail it. And I'll try to do it, since this is a webinar instead of our real trading. We're going to have to kind of watch it and see if we can get it. I'll just tell you when I'd grab it. First off, you got to do an ABC, right? You got to do, you know, the best thing to do is the little ABC, get around that mid-band, to give an example, or in that sweet spot area, and don't take out the previous swing. Looking to the left to trade the right, that swings at 41. That looks like a little rollover right there. If you wanted to take it, I'd be real careful with it because it's minimum criteria, but you'd have to make your mind up quickly, and, you know, it's too late now. See that? See if we can get an ABC type move. Now, where you really want to look at this trade is somewhere right in this area, like right here, just like we talk about. Little sweet spot. Matter of fact, I'd expect it to at least tag this. This one is rolling over, so if you missed it, you just missed it. So now we got to do an ABC. How many of you take that trade right there, though? That was a decent trade at predictor. You just have to get out quick if you didn't get any money on it. See if we can get us a little trade. Now that's looking like a pretty decent little trade, right? What do you think? Anybody? You got to think quick. Let's see, there's an A, B, C. It definitely rolled over a little bit, but it's too late to get in it, isn't it? Now we're going to have to get a little higher again. But see how perfect that was? Came within just 2 ticks of my line. Could you have taken that trade? And a lot of our people would have absolutely taken that trade. Now we are going 15 times normal speed, so it's a little harder to get it, but you can clearly see the lines are drawn correctly. Now, if you're one of those that doesn't like to take a mid-band trade until it at least goes at or above mid-band, a lot of times you'll be waiting for some good trades, because if you looked over here, for instance, see, that was a good trade, but it never touched mid-band. It boxed in. This trade right here, technically, you could have taken this trade. See right here? And it did give you probably 8 or 10 ticks. So is that a decent box? Yes or no? It really is. But so far we're still retracing a little bit, so it looks like they're trying to go higher. But if you look to the left to trade the right, you can't go any higher than 41 if we're going to head down, right? So we're looking for a trade in this little sweet spot where I've got these 2 lines drawn. Is that a decent trade? What says the team? I would say yes. Let's see if we can get 10 ticks. I'll just try to we'll just go for 10. Let's just try for $200. And I will put the stop nice and tight right at mid-band. Chuck, on your question, well, it rolls. Keep in mind that you can either do a roll bar, or you can do a roll like a 1, 2, 3 reversal. But a 1, 2, 3 reversal can actually be getting you in, 6 to 8 ticks too late too. That was a perfect classic resistance kiss rollover so far. Let's see if it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't, but let's see if it does. So far it is. And that was close. If it takes out mid-band, we'll be out of the trade. We're okay so far. It is trying to roll. Now, what if you instead were to box it like this whole big box, to give an example? Would you do that? Because that's huge. If you were to do this, whoops, sorry, I moved my stop. Sorry about that. I moved the stop when I built the box. We wouldn't be out of that trade. Let's take it again. See if we can get it. I'll take it again. It's right there at my line. And I'll put the stop in again. Oh, that might get me. Nope, didn't. Those mid-bands are amazing. How they do. All right, so we actually did get a trade. Let's see if we can get 10 ticks. That's 12 and 12. That's good enough, isn't it? If we can get 12 ticks on this trade, we'll be happy campers. You go ahead and put your stop just at mid-band now. You'd only be risking 3 ticks. But see, the key is not so much the trade itself here, what I'm showing right here. It's the fact that you got the trade right, okay? Because we drew on our charts. Looks like we're going to get a profit too. There we did. All right. Okay, now notice that we did not get what did we not get just now? Anybody? A lower low. So where's it going now? Well, you don't know for absolute sure, but let's draw on our charts and see if we're right. When I say you don't know for absolute sure, you can only draw on charts, and if you draw on your charts, there's a swing on the left side of the chart, right side of the chart, right? Now this is also a left side of the chart, but keep in mind that the left, when it was heading down, is your real identified swing on the left. Okay, they can't take out 41. Now, could they tag it and possibly give you another trade, or maybe a phantom type trade? Well, they could. Okay, so let's draw on our charts again. We'll see now that we got a double bottom and didn't take out the low, they're going to go higher. So let's draw on our charts. I'll draw at 49. I'll draw here. And if they take this out, they would be taking out what we call our micro on the left. They could be checking this medium swing, right? Now, by the way, with that double bottom, we're going to have a webinar one of these times where if you see it bounce off of a low like that, just hit the button, because you'll be amazed how many times you'll get 10 ticks on a trade like that, where it just touches support. You have to wait for the bar to close at least. But if you take a trade like that and the next bar goes down, just get out of it. But it looks like it's retracing to me. But let's see if we diagnose this right. I'm not going to even take a trade, but let's see if we did. And by the way, predictor will also draw. Oh, that was too quick. Look at that though. See that? It hit exactly at our 44, rolled over. Okay? Now, would you be in this trade right now with that kissing exactly where you drew on your chart? Now keep in mind, this is still a downtrend. This is not an uptrend. Okay? It's not an uptrend. So if you missed that trade that I just drew on the chart, and by the way, that looks like that's good for at least 10 ticks. All right? How far do you expect it to go down, Chuck? Well, I always look, when I look to the left to trade the right, I don't expect them to do anything more than they're just doing. Okay? So, for instance, if I had shorted this right here, I look to the left and I see a swing right here. It's already tagged it, so you could take some profit, right? Look to the left again, you see a swing right there. Look to the left again, and you got some here and here. So I'd probably bring it down to here, because that's just a little bitty minor. And then I'd probably draw one more line here. Let's see if they get them, just for the fun of it. Kiss both lines. You could get out of that trade if it takes out that swing right here. If it does. Predictor's saying you're going to get another trade right there. I'm shorting it. See how it kissed my line? Right at predictor. And I'd put my stop nice and tight too. See there? Okay. Now notice that it's hitting every line that I'm drawing. Okay. So if you draw your lines in the correct spot, they're going to tag them. Now, we don't know for sure if this is going to take out this low, or if it does, how much of the low it's going to take out, right? So you can always be protecting coin, because now we're in a range. You can clearly see you're in a range from here to here. So if you get anywhere near this bottom, you can always take coin. For instance, if you're in 2 contracts like right now, just look at your Lightning 1 instead and take some coin. Let's see what Lightning 1 looks like. Draw it right here. You got a little swing right across there. You could protect your coin right there if you wanted to. Now keep in mind, Lightning 1 will get you out occasionally where Lightning 2 probably wouldn't. Okay, and then you could put a runner just out of the way. You get this one down to where we said we wanted to, right about where the line is, right there, like that. And then you just ride your trade. Let's see, Louis asking, where do you draw the line, if you will, without getting all flustered with lines? Well, Louis, on that, basically, what you just got to do is you got to look on the left side of the chart and draw those lines. Now, you know, where this actually did this morning, I was actually trading this one with Linda, and we didn't get up till 6:30 today because just yesterday was kind of hectic and everything, so I slept in this morning. But we did get this trade. I even talked about it this morning in the room. Now, when we got up, it had already done this. Okay, so you either had to take a break of here, you know, like box it in, but no risk reward to it, right? But you might have gotten 10 ticks if they would have broken it. So, you know, if you had it boxed in, but then what it did is it came back and gave you another trade beautifully at a predictor. So, you know, basically, if I remember right, she drew a trend line like this, just under those lows, and she took the trade. Okay? Because keep in mind, trend lines are going to be really good on your charts too. Okay? But if everybody will learn to draw on your charts, and also keep in mind that you want to really look for these, when they don't take out these lows, they will get these deeper probe trades. You can just count on it. They just do it. If you know, if for instance, let's say that this would have done this instead, thrust, retrace, big old thrust again, okay, then it wouldn't have taken out midband even again the next time around if this would have taken out this 12 here. But see what they did instead, they got a higher low, they got a higher high, but they never gave you a long trade. Because when you look at this chart, to me, it would take breaking this, coming to phantom and coming back to bid band and take off to ever change trends. And see, it never did that. It broke it, but keep in mind, we don't take breakout trades. We would look for the break above, come back and kiss midband, and then take off. Okay, see how that kissed right where we talked about, where we said it would. Now, could you actually, at this point, let's say that you weren't in a trade right now and you woke up at 7:14 in the morning, identified swing. Is that an area that you could look for a trade? Put our stop right there. We'll give it 4 ticks just above that swing. See if it does. Identified swing on the left. Shouldn't take it out if it's going to continue the trek down, right? Just like we did over there way on the other side. And if it does take it out, we're not interested in the trade. See if it'll roll here. Now keep in mind, I shorted that simply because I saw it tag that line. But notice what your fill was down here to begin with. Okay? Is my stop at a good spot because I've got it above a swing? I don't expect it to take that out if we're going to do heading down. See? So you're doing thrust, retrace, maybe another thrust. Okay? See where you can draw on those charts, everyone? And always remember, when you're looking at lightning, you're looking on the left side of the chart for any trade. Okay? And if you see a nice swing that you think is going to be that resistance area, and you take it, a nice tight stop shouldn't hurt you. Okay, let's see. It would be really hard for me to take a short when it has not taken the bottom out over 3 times. Well, John, I do see what you're talking about, but what you're really looking at is just depends on when you're at your trade, when you're at your chart. Because, for instance, when Linda was up this morning with me, we saw this trade. Okay, I still like that trade myself because it's a deep bar probe, and we take those all the time. You know, and a trade like that most of the time does work because we haven't changed trends. You know, even though you've got you know, a series of higher lows and even higher high here, you still haven't broken this. Okay. But like say for instance where I drew this line right here where this swing was, that's not a risky trade because now I could probably just say, you know what, I'm going to put my stop just above that wick. That's only 2 ticks. See? So let's speed it up and see if it worked out. That's going 5 times and it's still too slow. And you got you a trade. And I'd put my stop right in, let's see, more than likely right above that swing here on the left. If it makes another swing, I'd probably put it there, but not yet. See why? Now I would. See how it took out that swing right there? And there you just got you a target. Okay, now notice now you do have a lower low, but just what? Just barely. Okay, so let's look at our chart and see if we can, we're going to just see if we can take a 10 tick trade, and I'm going to get rid of everything on the chart, and let's see if we can take one, and let's draw on our chart. Let's look to the left, trade the right. They checked that swing right there already, right? They can't take this swing out if they're going to head down. Everybody see it? Thrust, retrace, thrust. They can't take out 26. All right, let's look to the left, trade the right still. They've checked this swing, but they went a little above it. So I'm going to say that they could probably even check this swing again. So I'm going to put a little box in this area right here for another trade. Not higher than this. And predictors should figure this price action out pretty soon, and we're just going to take the trade when we see it. But we got to wait for a predictor. Also remember when you're trading too that you're looking at micro, but you've also got to look at medium swings. To give an example, we might get a predictor in this sweet spot right here, but they might go up and check, you know, a little higher, very possibly if they happen to start stair stepping back up. Let's see what they do. We're going to watch for a predictor. Well, that turned out to be a good little trade if you just took it where I had the line drawn, didn't it? All right, looking to the left to trade the right. You can see they shouldn't take out this swing now, right? Everybody see that? They do have a swing right across here, like so. Looking left, see 16. So could they actually hit their head? And let's see if they do. I'm not going to take the trade, but let's just see if they do. There's predictor. Predictor says right here, that's a tad on the risky side, but I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it. See, it just kissed that 12. And I'm going to put a nice tight stop. Exit on close. If it gets it, it gets it. See how it's just kissing that 12? Now looking to the left to trade the right, I see a little bit of a swing right across here, just barely. So I'm going to actually take some coin on a scalper at 7 because that's where the little swing is. just in case they decide not to be finished with this, or to be finished with this trade. And then we'll leave our runner running. May get us. Well, we got one, and we stopped out. Everybody see that? All right, now with a higher low, what are we looking at? Anybody? Not a trend change yet, right? But let's look to the left to trade the right and see if we can figure this trade out. So we're going to draw on our chart. When they break micro, they try to check these medium swings. All right, they've already checked that one once right there at 25. And let's look to the left, trade the right. We do have a mid-band trade setting up also, right? Everyone? Now be careful with mid-band trades. If this gets a higher low like it did and everything, this one we're going to box in. Oh, wait a minute. It's going to hit our perfect little entry, I think. Now, could you be ready to box this in as we're speaking right now? Let's just see. We'll box it like that, and we'll box it like this also. Checks that swing. Now notice it went through it, so it never fired it, but if it comes back down, see, it fired it. Object Trader got it. Now, just in case this is a fairly risky trade, there's your swing right across there. See your little A, B, C? They always check. They'll either check B or they'll check A. Everybody see that? Because most of your moves are ABCs. So that turned out to be another decent trade. And by the way, you could actually even add to it if you wanted to, if it happened to take out your little box. I'd probably only add one. That's a mid-band trade, but that's a little bit deeper than a mid-band trade. Why did we know that this was going higher? Anybody? Because you got that higher low. Now, were we a trend change yet? No. Not at all. So we're still looking for shorts, right? That's actually a mid-band short. We just diagnosed it instead of just taking it willy-nilly at the mid-band. See, when I draw on those charts in the morning, that's what I'm doing is I'm looking to the left to trade the right. I teach this all the time. Okay? Does it always work? I would say that it works a lot more than it doesn't. Is this a decent trade? And by the way, it being in 3, I'd probably go ahead and take one pretty soon. It's right on top of support level. And then I'd probably even go ahead and raise my stop just above break even would be fine on that. And if it rolls up instead, then we'll lose on this trade or break even. Let's see, the last swing, Gene. Yeah, basically, what you're always looking for is when you look to the left to trade the right, you're looking for this thrust, retrace, thrust type moves. That's more what I call a secondary swing. See, this is your primary swing here. This is your secondary swing. And if you look on the left side of the chart, that's what they checked. Now, the time when it gets a little bit more difficult to check this is when they're in just totally sideways like they were a little while ago. But again, you got to kind of gauge. For instance, if you take a mid-band trade and it works, but then it's right back in your face and you get a higher low, you're not ready to change trends or anything. So you're looking for these deeper retracements, right? Matter of fact, in the room, I think we called that trade. Yeah, I know I did. I called that trade in the room this morning because we talked about, remember, boxing that in. Okay. Now, what do you do if it doesn't take out that low right there by very much at all? you're going to want what? Deeper retracements, right? At least up to around mid-band. For sure around that mid-band. Let's see if Predictor will give us another trade. See if we can get something. See where Predictor draws. All right. What do you think on this one? Anybody? If you boxed it or drew a trend line, let's just draw a trend line on this one. I like that one because see how nice and steep it is? A trend line's real good on a trade like that. Now see how we're diagnosing our chart. We got the same low, so they're very possibly going to take this swing out a little bit, aren't they? But they might break a trend line and might give us a little trade. And we'll put a nice tight stop on it just in case. See if we get the trade at all. You are getting a lower high there. So would I probably take this trade? What do you think? Goes back below mid-band. What do you think? Got to make a quick decision. I'm going to go ahead and take it without waiting on the wedge. I'll put a really nice tight stop on it though, just in case. That's 8 ticks. If it takes out our swing, we'll be okay. If it doesn't take out our swing, we got to watch it. Where's support? Whoops, sorry about that. Where's support on this chart right now? It's kind of hard because see that went straight up, so that's like a little support right there where my cursor's at. So it needs to take that out. Now, if you want to really protect your coin, but keep in mind you're going to get in and out of a few trades if you do it. If we get even, a little thrust down with a bar like that, you can go ahead and bring your stop to break even if you want to. But you're going to be taken out of some trades, believe me. Okay, but just in case this doesn't work out, you could definitely do that. Because no harm, no foul. If, you scratch on a trade, you might pay your broker, $7 between two trades. That's not my idea of a good way to do it because I like to give them a tad of wiggle room, depending on where I get in it though. Okay. It's always dependent on where you get into it, because if you box it and you leave it all the way to the top of the box on a short or the bottom of the box on a long, you're going to get taken out pretty often actually. See if this trade even works. Doesn't look like it. Now, is this time for a long yet? Anybody? No. No, but this is concerning me a little bit, like it's not trying to roll over. Anytime you get in these trades and they don't take like a few bars down and they just immediately are trying to retrace on it, you got to watch this bar. And if that bar goes down, I'd still bring my stop probably to the top of the bar if this bar goes ahead and closes down, because this is making me a little bit more nervous thinking this is not going to do what we want it to do. Let's see if it did. That's a curious question. No, it took you out. Okay, now with double bottom, where's our next trade? Anybody? Well, just wait for the zigzag and see if you can take a trade like that even. Let's see. That's kind of hard to see those yellow bars there, especially with these little boxes. Let's get rid of the box. Okay, where'd my region go? There they are. Let's change both of those. And even that one real quick. One thing about it, this particular method of trading does work quite well. Okay, now what are we doing right now? Okay, look to the left to trade the right. You do have a double bottom where they barely took out the low. That's your high. Looking left to trade the right. They shouldn't be able to take that out and head down, right? Now, predictor's saying you got to trade setting up right there. Okay, that would be a lower high. What if they just blow through it, though? Well, we could box it in instead, right? Let's see what that one does. I'm just curious. Everybody see lightning on this chart where you could actually do some little boxes? Could you box right across there? Goes higher, you could box a little higher. Could you box there? Kissed my line exactly where predictor was, so we're in it. You got a little swing right across here on oil for your scalper. Bring your stop nice and tight. And ride your runner. Okay? I mean, that's a double bottom. Remember that trade this morning? Charles got stopped out at close to mid-band on that one. Now what are we getting? Anybody? Taking out Lightning 3. What are we getting? Anybody? Better hurry. Is that a trend change? Do you remember us calling this trade at 26 this morning, getting 10 ticks? Anybody? But let's look and see if you weren't in this trade yet. Remember, we like to get a thrust and a pullback. So let's look to the left to trade the right and see if we can figure out where this trade's going to hit its head. All right, so we're going to draw on our chart. We've got a swing right across here. High, low, higher, high, higher, low, higher, high. So that's like an ABC. Actually, almost like an ABC. Yeah, I still call that an ABC because it just barely took out that swing right there. So that's an ABC. So they shouldn't take out this right here at about 19 and mid-band. And let's look to the left to trade the right. We got support right there at 16 and 17. Immediate left. Okay. So this is an area that we'd be looking for a trade, right? Thrust retrace. Everybody see that? We called that trade this morning in the room, by the way. Boxed it in. But how do you know where it's going ahead of time? Because remember, we had these lines drawn on that chart. We had these lines drawn on that chart ahead of time. Now, do they sometimes go a little bit deeper? Yes, they do. But if you draw a couple of lines on your chart, you know, at the time before this was even here, okay, look on the left side of your chart and let's see if we can't figure out how we drew those lines. Okay, we had a big old thrust retrace, barely a retrace, but it is still a retrace. So we drew a line right across here, like so. All right, then if you see that there are areas on the left side of the chart that are really close to that, draw it again, like so, and then also like so. All right, and so what did they actually do? So they check them all. They checked every single one of them. So they checked this one here. They checked this one here. The only one, well, they really didn't check 19 because that wasn't technically a swing. Remember I said it wasn't technically a swing? To be a swing, they have to do more than just like a little wicked candle. But it doesn't mean you can't draw on your chart like that. But looking to the left to trade the right, when you actually draw on your charts, you're going to see them tag your lines. And you're also going to be amazed at how often they're going to come back to your lines and test them again. Okay? Does everybody see how to do this a little bit better now? I'll show you one more trade that we actually called in the room this morning. What is this doing right now as we speak? Well, you can box it in, right? We don't know for sure where it's going to hit its head, but let's say you put a region, and you put your region like above midband, and you set a long, and you set for like touch plus 2 or 1, something like that. But then you got to swing, see high, low, higher, high. So maybe it'll hit its head here, like so, and then you got to swing right down here. So basically, this is retracing a little bit right now. And by the way, you'd move your box. See how this is doing this in real time? You just keep moving this like a little 1, 2, 3 reversal. If it takes that out, does anybody remember this trade in the room this morning? That was called in real. And I did say in the room this morning, though, be careful, because we had a red background. That came deeper than we wanted it to because it took out this swing. But that little trade actually worked. And by the way, when you see it break a box, you don't have to wait for the box to do its thing if you don't want to. Okay? Does this help everybody see how much of a retracement you actually look for? Always look to the left to trade the right. If they break micro type swings, they're going to check these medium swings. You can just almost take that to the bank. Now, can you short these if they break these little micro swings? Yes. But keep in mind, if you do that, you got to let the trade go your way only, because you're going against the trend. Because remember, on the left side of the chart, this was still heading up. But on the left side of the chart, this was breaking lightning like it was going out of style. Look at this. See there? Identified swing, broke it, broke it, broke it. Can you short those? Yes. But you have to be really careful if you do. Okay? All right. We'll do this again in the room tomorrow. And keep in mind that if you do these type of trades, just like Linda did this one this morning, she didn't care about much more than when she saw that getting above $400, she clicked the button. And remember, I showed it this morning in the room live, and she got $450. She didn't go trading these others, okay? But we did clearly call them in the room this morning, though, so that people could. Always remember, if they get these double bottoms, they're going to take out these swings. They don't necessarily change trends until they do take out these swings, okay? See how that took out the lightning 3? That was a trend change, and you actually got a trend change, okay? How's the best way to practice your lines when it comes to where it becomes second nature? Just really, best way probably to do it, Louis, would be to actually use this little chart and see if you can figure out just right at where the lines are. And I wouldn't probably do it with lightning 1. I'd probably do it with lightning 2 to practice. See, that's still, that's fairly fast to begin with. But, if you looked at this, where would this more than likely, hit its head if it was decided to break down, to give you an example? Well, you could always look to the left to trade the right and see if, for instance, if they hit their head there. But this is a little bit of an uptrend now. So, this looks to me like it's, like I say, a little bit more of an uptrend. Okay? We'll do this in the morning, everyone. Thanks for coming to the webinar. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope this helps too. Let's see, with that background, are you not looking for Phantom at 844? Who's asking that? Just one second. Mark. Mark, yes. But keep in mind that this Phantom right here, oh, he's talking about here. Yes. But also keep in mind that you can buy up to a Phantom too. Okay? Because remember, in the room this morning, Charles and I clearly called this trade before we ever got this one. Remember this little trade here? where it kind of busted up, pulled back and kissed this 20 area where we had this line drawn right here. And I think he even got in at this one right here where it had come down and kissed this 26 right here. And that was a little 10 tick trade, but then it took you out. And then you went deeper and you got that nice mid-band trade. These trades really work. I mean, you can pretty much take them to the bank. Okay, since this is a trend change, real quick before we wrap, let's just see if we can tell where we're drawing on our chart. See how that came down to my line? Drew it ahead of time. Could you have gotten in that trade? We called that trade in the room this morning too. Absolutely. Let's see, Louis, you're asking one more. What are you looking for on the left to see if the phantom will be successful? Well, you got to keep in mind that on a phantom trade, you got to look at lightning 3. Let me draw lightning 3. So you have a big old thrust retrace, okay? Now, if this was to do a phantom later on the long side, what can it not take out? Lightning 3. See there? It bounced right off of it. Now, if it took out that lightning 3, I'm very hesitant to take that trade. I even called this one in the room this morning and said, be careful, because it came all the way to support. Now, if you don't want to try any of these smaller trades, always wait for these bigger trades to actually come and test these lows, because those type of trades work too. That's trading trend 3. All right, thanks everybody. We'll see you in the morning. Have a great evening, and I'm gonna go eat some supper. I haven't eaten all day actually. I'm gonna go eat some supper. All right, thanks everybody. Bye now.